Our first segment of the day is regarding yesterday's White House press briefing, where Fox News reporter Jackie Heinrich questions John Kirby on incentivizing illegal immigration. And then we have another reporter questioning Karine Jean-Pierre on gun control. And her response is baffling. She basically says that they are for going door to door and confiscating your firearms. This is insane, folks. As always, support the show by hitting that like and subscribe button, leaving us a sweet short comment down below. It does help us, folks. It pushes our videos out there to new viewers who haven't seen our content or our channel. Your help and support will be greatly appreciated. Let's go ahead and roll it.
Just one follow-up, John, on the migrant fire question. Customs and Border Protection said that they're going to be granting parole to some of these fire victims so they can enter the U.S. illegally and receive emergency medical care.
That's right.
But since the Mexican president said that this fire did start as part of a protest when the migrants heard that they were going to be deported, is allowing them into the U.S. now on an expedited basis, does that at all risk incentivizing more of this kind of bad behavior?
This is about trying to take care of some folks that badly burned and really hurt, and we know we can help them. That's what this is about, Jackie.
Thank you so much.
Boy, Karine Jean-Pierre moved on real quick there because she knew there were some follow-ups here regarding illegal immigration, especially what happened to DHS Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas yesterday in our video with Ted Cruz and Josh Hawley eviscerating and completely destroying that guy. I mean, that guy needs a new career because they shellacked that man. And I'm kind of torn with this response, and I'll tell you why. I do agree with Jackie Heinrich fully that there is the potential of protests and certain outbursts happening in these detention facilities to exacerbate the problem and incentivize that type of behavior because they're going to get into the interior of the country. Now, what could potentially happen is that these people, they receive probation, they get their medical attention, and then the Biden administration, as they're so accustomed to doing, just letting them into the interior of the country and hoping that they come back. So this could potentially, again, exacerbate the problem of which we know the Biden administration has been doing for the last 2 years because they've been just shattering records. Furthermore, as somebody with a human heart, I want these people to receive medical attention because burns are severe. They hurt. I don't know if these are little children that are burned. You could have people that were in the detention facility. Granted, there's an argument they shouldn't have been there in the first place because they should have never come here illegally. But regardless, they were still there. They're the ones that maybe weren't involved in the protest. Just by happenstance, they were in the same facility as the same people that were protesting and they got burned. So I want them to receive medical attention. But at the same time, I think there would have been a follow-up question here regarding illegal immigration, regarding what the Biden administration is doing at the southern border here. And, Karine Jean-Pierre basically sniffed it out and didn't let one to happen. Or at least another question to have a follow-up there with John Kirby. Now, here's another reporter questioning Karine Jean-Pierre on gun control and basically saying, hey, these are the Republicans' arguments. This is what Democrats are saying. What's your solution to all this? She's going to grandstand here, but then listen to her response about confiscating firearms. This is insane, you guys. I mean, this is the clearest she's ever been.
Go ahead, Steve.
Thanks, Karine. I want to ask you a question about guns and get your response to some of the arguments that Republicans are making now about the push to ban semi-automatic weapons. One of the things they're saying is that there are 25 million of these devices out there in circulation in the homes of millions of Americans, and therefore you can't ban them. What's the president's response to that?
That's unacceptable. That's our response. It's unacceptable that Republicans are saying that there's nothing that we can do.
But Republicans aren't saying that. We're just saying that we don't like your solution of removing our Second Amendment right, or at least chiseling it away. That's what we're saying. And we have solutions. I've proposed a solution here on the Bald Brad Show many of times. You're sending hundreds of billions of dollars to other countries around the world where you can literally put an armed guard, multiple, by the way, and still be saving money in every school across the United States. And you don't want to do it. You would rather go after your own people, law-abiding citizens, and removing their right to bear arms and protecting themselves and their family, whether that's from a government that's gone usurpacious, foreign, domestic, abroad, or hell, even criminals locally trying to hurt them and their families. And you're trying to remove that right of them to be able to protect themselves, which is astonishing to me. It is so baffling, but she's going to sit here and grandstand. Just watch her messaging here. Listen to it.
Our schools, our churches, our places of worships have now become deadly places for many Americans who have lost their lives.
No, they haven't. No, they haven't.
So I asked Republicans, what are you going to say to the families in Nashville at this elementary school who lost their loved ones? 3 kids, 3 adults, 3 9-year-olds. Is that what they're going to say to them, that there's nothing else that we can do?
Nope. We just tell them that, we have some solutions that are being proposed in Congress. none of which are going to remove anybody's right to bear arms. We might be talking about mental health and more screenings on that because this person was trans. I mean, that was an identifier right there. But furthermore, how about talking about, again, not giving other countries billions, hundreds of billions of dollars and saying, hey, we're going to equip our schools with more security, more armed guards. We're going to have more surveillance. We're going to offer more protections in terms of bulletproof glass, locked doors. I mean, there's a lot of things you could propose in terms of upgrading our school system and protecting our children, but they don't want to have that conversation. They would rather just lie about it and say, hey, you know what? They don't have any solutions. They got nothing. It's amazing to me. And then she's going to say, well, is that what you're going to tell the children's parents? Is that what you're going to tell them?
You're going to say that to the Uvalde families, the parents? There's nothing else that we can do? You're going to say that to the people in Buffalo, in that grocery store on a Saturday, doing what many Americans do on a Saturday across the country, that there's nothing that we're going to do? Republicans in Congress need to show some courage. And if they had courage, they would be introducing legislation on on banning assault weapons today. That's what they would be doing today. And we know.
I'll be honest, I don't want any politician to make legislation based on courage. I want them to use their head, logic, and reason and go with the Constitution of which they swore to uphold. But here, again, this is a theme of the progressive left Democrat Party to utilize their emotions and not what's going on up here, but just that pent up emotions and feelings to sit there and drive whatever's on the docket for that day. Everybody agrees it was a horrific event. Everybody agrees that children should not be harmed. Everybody agrees with all of that. But this is what they're going to do, politicize it all. Go, well, is this what you're going to say to the parents, that you just don't have any solutions? If they had courage, I mean, you can use the same argument for the Democrat Party. Did you guys not have courage when you had all three branches of government for literally 2 years and you barely did anything about gun control? Which I'm not a fan of, by the way, of gun control. But you had 2 years to do it and you didn't. So what does that say about the Democrat Party? So again, the door goes both ways.
No, and Steve and I know, because we've had this conversation back and forth about assault weapons ban. That has, when there was legislation that turned into law that the president led on 30 years ago, we know that it saved lives. We know that to be a fact. But yet they refuse to move forward. And yet guns, as we know, is the leading cause that is killing our kids. And they refuse.
She is true. And what she said was true there. Now, this is what they do with statistics, though. They kind of skew the data. So depending on the year, depending on the study that you're actually looking at, they're talking from ages 1 to 19 in some of the studies. Some of the studies are 1 to 18. And if you actually bring those down, if you remove the 19 or even the 18, in some studies it will show that firearms are not the leading cause of death. I think it's auto accidents is the second, right under. And furthermore, they've also left out certain deaths for infants, like super young infants, which also skews the data. So they're being really selective here, and it's almost cherry picking the data in a way. But from what she says, in terms of what you're going to see from like CNN and certain, the CDC, yes, what she's saying is true. But it also makes it seem like when she talks about firearm and gun related deaths happening to our children, and that's a leading cause of death, it almost makes it seem like, oh, well, they're all mass shootings, right? They're all these crazy schools being shot up. But remember, a lot of shootings happen with not necessarily homicides or murders, which that's involved in, but also suicides. A lot of these deaths are just suicides. And I shouldn't say just, but that's what they are. And so again, the data's skewed certain direction. You can actually cherry pick it really easily, but virtually what she's saying is true. Firearms are the leading cause of death. Again, the data is a little bit skewed on it, though.
Refuse to show some courage and do anything about it. And that's shameful.
I just want to ask a quick follow-up. In the last presidential campaign, one of the Democratic contenders said that what he would do is come for AR-15s. Does the president support not just banning the sale and manufacture of semi-automatic weapons, but further than that, confiscation?
Let me just be very clear. What we're talking about, AR-15s, these assault weapons ban, they are weapons of war, and they should not be on the streets.
They are weapons of war. A Smith & Wesson is a weapon of war. My Glock's a weapon of war. A knife is a weapon of war. Theoretically, your helmet that you wear on the battlefield is a weapon of war. I mean, it's crazy to me that these Democrats don't have a clue what they're talking about, which is why on yesterday's episode, we also talked about how they want to get rid of high-capacity magazines, as if it's not hard to just reload your firearm. You're talking a matter of seconds, just swapping out a mag real quick, whether that's 5 rounds, 4 rounds, I mean, whatever you want to make it. it's just going to be swapped out really quickly. So again, you get these knuckleheads out here, but you're going to hear her. They want to confiscate your firearms. This is crazy.
Across the country, in our communities, they should not be in schools. They should not be in grocery stores. They should not be in churches. That's what the president believes. And he has done more than any other president the first 2 years on an executive order. And as you know, we all know how government works. There's only so much that he can do. And so now it's time for Congress to do the work. And he's happy to sign. Once that happens, he's happy to sign that legislation that says, okay, we're going to remove assault weapons. We're going to have an assault weapons ban. Go ahead, Lucy.
Karine, last
There you
year,
go. I mean, she's clear. They want to confiscate your firearms, remove assault weapons, which when she's referring to the legislation that Joe Biden pushed about 30 years ago, that was removing semi-automatic firearms, which are virtually all firearms across the board because automatics have been freaking banned for decades. This is insane. The reason why I say it's insane, I mean, the founders would be rolling in their graves right now that we have the federal government, the United States government, sitting there saying they want to remove your firearms openly, that they actually just want to take them from you. I mean, the fact that I'm not screaming in the mic right now is mind-blowing. I am so irate internally because at what point did we start shifting and just thinking that it's okay to talk like this of, hey, we want to strip you of your Second Amendment rights, and then at the same time, well, we're not really going to do that. It is so wild. It's scary. It is so scary the time that we live in, the fact that government is just so open about wanting to take away your firearms and removing that right to bear arms, a Second Amendment right. It's so bad. Let me know what you guys think about this in the comment section below, because it is head spinning and it's only going to get worse, the fact that they're so outspoken about that. I hope you enjoyed that clip from the Bald Brad Show. If you did, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you can stay up to date on all our future content.